Welcome back to another episode of Let's Have a Sip. I'm your host, Shawn Drinks. What's going on, bud?
Hey, man. How are you doing?
Good. Just sipping on your Mossy Horn Whiskey I got and just chilling, enjoying the day, trying not to sweat my ass off. It's hot as shit.
It's horrible out there, man. It is absolutely horrible.
Yeah, me and my girl just came back from, we went to Joann's. It's, you know what store I'm talking about? It's kind of like a home goods store because we were wanting to get
I do. Yes, I do know what you're talking about. It's usually like beside some Targets or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and we were getting some like paintbrushes and stuff because we're like redoing our backyard, and we're out there kind of standing some wood around our like plants and flowers and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm going inside because it is too hot right now. So,
but you're not even from Texas, right? Originally?
No, originally New Orleans. Grew up in Tennessee, and I have been in Texas. It'll be close to a year. May 28th is full year. I'll be in Texas. So
yeah.
Yep.
Good luck. You might earn your 18-month badge. It's horrible. I dread summer.
Yeah, man. So part of my job outside of the podcast is I have to get on trucks and stuff like that at UPS, and I don't have to do it every day, but there was one day a couple weeks ago where it was like 90 degrees, and I was like, dude, my body is just not used to this. And like every other day during the week, I'll have some whiskey, drink a couple beers or something like that, and I was telling my girl, like, I can't do this. I need to get back in shape. I need to hydrate so much during the week because I'm gonna die.
Yeah, so. I think I'm trying to get on a health journey as well. I need to try to get back in shape and just hydrate and just, I don't know. Yeah, I can't do it, especially in the summers. So hard to breathe also.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So Mossy Horn Whiskey. That's your line. That's your brand. Line. So
I only have one line right now. Just the one. But some coming soon, and I'm super excited about it, man.
So how long has Mossy Horn Whiskey, which is actually what I'm drinking right now, using this little decanter I bought off your website? It's pretty cool. So got probably can't see it, but logo's on there. Pretty cool. Yeah. So how'd you get started in the world of whiskey?
Okay. Yeah, that's a loaded question.
Okay. Give us the Cliff Notes.
So, as a troubled youth, I was actually kind of going through a hard time in life, and my cousin, who's never, and still to this day has never taken a sip of alcohol in his life, called me up one day and he said, "Hey, do you want to work with me?" And I said, "How much are you paying?" And he's like, back then it was $8.50 an hour. I'm like, "Yes, done," because it was more than my $8 an hour job. So I went to work with him. I didn't even know what he did, what he does. He just said he's working on the bottling line. I'm like, okay, bottling line. I have no idea. So I started off working at a small mom and pop distillery in Louisville, Texas. So a little bit north of Dallas, going into Denton. And so just small mom and pop. And so I don't know if you've ever heard of Silver Star Whiskey or New Vodka or 1835 whiskey. It's usually a Specs brand with them.
I think I may have seen them. I'm not very well versed in those lines.
They're bigger Texas brands.
Okay.
So I started off bottling for those guys, just on the bottling line, just putting the corks in, putting the labels on, filling it up with the whiskey or filling it up with vodka. And I loved it so much, man. I don't know why. I just fell in love with it. And from there, I started working for a distributor. And I worked for the distributor for the next 7 years or so. And I actually took my 401k out of the distributor that I was working for. I was fully vested. And I came out with my own line of whiskey.
Okay.
So I knew a lot of the guys before that were doing kind of their own whiskeys and things like that. And they guided me along the way. If you've ever heard of New Vodka, Western Sun kind of started off with River. So Western Sun, I know a lot of people that work with them. And they're essentially, they used to be really small. They're actually one of the bigger vodka companies now in the U.S. So.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Mhm.
And correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, I'm still learning. I'm very green behind the ears when it comes to whiskey. I love, just trying a lot of different things and trying to figure out what I like, what I don't like. And so Mossy Horn Whiskey is a blend of two different single barrels, correct?
Correct. Yeah, and it's very unique. So a lot of times you go into the store and you'll see a bottle that's a single barrel whiskey or a single barrel bourbon or something, and people love those. People flock to those, right? So I take two single barrels, small batches, and blend those together, one or two barrels at a time, and fill up my bottles. Two barrels at a time and fill up my bottles. Yes.
Okay, so now in your juice, for lack of a better word, your whiskey
Mhm.
is MGP, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Right now it is. Yeah.
Okay, so for everyone that does not know, and again, I'm still learning all this stuff, MGP, Midwestern Grain Products, so that's in Indiana.
Yes.
Do you have a specific distillery that you go to, or how does that work?
So they have a couple distilleries. They more so have holding places for all their barrels that they do. They do a whole lot of barrels because they provide for probably 60% of the whiskey that's kind of on the market right now. Maybe a little bit less, but they do a whole lot of whiskey, mostly bourbon or rye, a little bit of wheated. But no, I don't specifically have a distillery of theirs that I use. I'm pretty confident that it's all coming from Indiana. They have some other ones in Kentucky as well, but I'm pretty sure all my stuff's coming from Indiana. But I have a specific mash bill on the barrels that I use. So yeah.
Okay, so you want to kind of talk about exactly what that is, what that
Right.
means?
So the mash bill. So when it comes to whiskey, people are like, oh, there's three or four different grains that people use: malted barley, corn, rye, wheat. Those are usually the four main grains people use to make whiskey. And the mash bill is what percentage of those grains are used when you distill the actual spirit, when it's coming out of the still, the distillation process. So when it gets out of there, it's a specific proof, and then you barrel it for a certain amount of years or months if you're a little bit younger. But mine is in a 5-year-old barrel and a 3-year-old barrel that I blend together. And the mash bill that I use is a 21% rye bourbon, and which means the rest of the mash bill would be corn if it's a bourbon. And I use a 15% rye corn whiskey, which essentially the difference between that and a bourbon would be the barrels that I use for it. So the only way it can be called a bourbon is if it's aged in new white oak barrels.
Yeah, it's very interesting how I found out about your brand. I want to say, I'm pretty sure I was at Lucky Liquor, so that's like my spot. That's my jam. That's where I usually go to get
Awesome.
all my bottles.
Awesome
Um,
place.
you know, local liquor store, private store here in Dallas, Texas.
Is that off of
Um,
Henderson, right? Henderson Avenue?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's off of Henderson, and that little area in Dallas is like it's popping.
Yeah.
Normally around like 5 o'clock, that's when all the restaurants are opening up around there. Um, saw they'll put like the little stickers out, says new item, check this out, whatever. So I was like,
Yes.
it's like Mossy Horn Whiskey. I was like, you know what, let me try that. So because I'm
Yeah.
always trying to try new stuff. I mean, I
Yeah.
just picked this one up yesterday. We'll talk about that one another
I
time.
like it.
But um,
What is that one called? Wait, what is that one?
so this is, I never even heard of them. I had stopped over at some liquor store here in Dallas called Top Liquor or something.
Hmm.
I've always seen them. I've never stopped by,
Yeah.
but it's called Slow River Blend. Slow River
Slow River
Blend.
Blend. I feel like I've seen it around, never tasted it. I haven't heard a lot about it. Um,
Um, so the distillery, or excuse me, the actual name is Bonbrecker. I might be pronouncing that incorrectly.
yeah,
I think
not,
it might be German or something like that. But it's a Hefeweizen whiskey, which
oh,
so it's a blend of straight wheat whiskeys and lightly macerated, which I don't even know what that means, with
I don't either.
with lemon peel and clove. Now, it's not normally something I really go for, but because it's like it's lower proof, 80 proof, not really not necessarily something I go for, but they had some rep in there, and he was like, "Hey, you want to try this?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, let me get a little sip." I tried it, and And it wasn't bad. It's
Cool.
the price point on it's decent. It's like 30-35 bucks. And
Where are they out of? Does it say?
the guy that was telling me all about the brand said that they're distilled out of the Still Austin distillery.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so it's blended and bottled in Austin, Texas.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I know Still Austin pretty well.
I haven't had the chance to try any of their stuff, but I mean, I've heard they're pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about them for sure.
But yeah, coming back to Mossy Horn, I was in there in Lucky Liquor, saw that, tried it, and I was like, okay, cool. And then like randomly, and it's so weird, randomly, like either the day of or the next day, you or whoever runs your Instagram started
Yeah,
following me, and I'm like, what the heck?
that's funny.
Because I didn't post anything about it, and it was super weird because I was like, it's one of those things where like you're having a conversation with
Yeah.
somebody, and like whatever you're talking about, you pull up your phone and you're like, hey, I was just talking about that. Who's listening to
Yeah.
me right now?
Oh,
So
it's actually crazy. So whenever the barcode of my bottle gets scanned, it sends a notification to my phone where and who scanned it out. And so I can figure out. And so I go and I add all those people on Instagram who buys a bottle of my stuff. I'm just kidding. That's not how it works at all.
I was gonna say, I was like, I've never heard of this. That sounds
No,
sketchy.
no, I don't know. It must have been fate or something. I think it's really cool that we added you on Instagram. I was super excited about it whenever you contacted us and wanted to do the podcast. I was stoked, man. I was super excited. Still am. Like this is amazing. This is awesome. Something
Yeah.
that we're both living in. We get to do our own thing and we get to, live these dreams that we kind of never imagined would happen. That's kind of what I'm doing now.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I asked you how you kind of got your start and stuff like that, but like, how long have you actually been in the game?
About a year and a couple months ago, I actually left my job at the distributing company. Honestly, like how it happened, there's probably 4 or 5 different things that lined up that happened to me, like in a negative way, that I would just, at the end of the day, I was just like, F it. Like, I'm doing this. I don't care. Like, I'm going to come out. I'm about to prove a point to somebody, to 4 or 5 different people, show them that I'm capable of way more than they think that I am capable of. Or, I just got pissed off enough to take my entire 401k out and start my own brand of whiskey. Like, you really got to kind of be, maybe I'm crazy. I don't know, something. But anyway, all that lined up. And so I actually left about a year and a half ago. I created the LLC immediately. And I took my 401k out and started investing in the bottles and the caps and the labels, designing the labels, everything.
Brand has started about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've
only been in the stores since November.
Okay.
Only been in stores since November. So it took me about 6 months to get everything filled up, ready to go, and able to start selling in the stores.
I know I saw you in a lot of like mom and pop, or that's lack for a better word, mom or pop. Private stores and stuff like that. And then
independents. We say kind of independents, or we say small mom and pop accounts, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I was hopping into Specs randomly one day, and that's usually what I do whenever I have time. Is I'll go bourbon hunting, and I saw you in the store, and I was like, not you physically, I saw the Mossy Horn Whiskey, and I was like, oh shit, okay. So I took a picture and sent it to you, and I was like, moving on up, man. So
huge.
So like, what trying to think of a good way to word this, like, what is your process to be able to get into stores such as Specs or Total Wine?
So I actually just got into Total Wine. I don't know if I told you that. So just finally got approved, and I'm
awesome.
all over Texas with Total Wine. I think with the exception of like 5 or 8 stores or something like that, but I'm almost in every Total Wine in Texas. At least San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, and Houston. So my process, honestly, man, if you go to these big companies, so you go to like Jack Daniels, you go to any of these bigger companies, Well, okay, Jack is different. So like medium-sized companies, something where the brand hasn't been put into the stores yet, they have a whole department that reaches out to the distributor, that reaches out to the chain store and gets chain authorization. They go through such a chain of command that like it takes forever to get, it takes a year for something to get authorized into the account. I went straight to the source. I contacted corporate. So I'll contact corporate and I will talk to almost every single department before I figure out which department actually does the authorizations of it. And then I'll reach out and I'll somehow, I don't know, because I don't think I'm supposed to know the direct emails to these people, but I figure out what their emails are. And, and I'll tell you how I learned this, kind of how to just go out there and do it. But I'll figure out these direct emails to these people and I'll just email them directly and I'll say, hey, Mr. So-and-so, or hey, Mrs. So-and-so, and I'll send them a picture or I'll give them a description. Hey, just came out with this bottle. It's my very own. And I will give them my spiel. And a lot of people want to bring in someone who apparently takes out their 401k, busts their butt, and does a lot to do, and I tell them, like, I will do anything to make sure this brand sells in the stores. And so I'm going to every specs and I'm making sure, and I'm hand selling or I'm setting up tastings for people and samplings and making sure that the bottle's selling out of their stores. And if they're making their money, they don't care, but the way that I learned to reach out directly to the snakehead, or reach out directly to the head guy up there or wherever. When I used to work for the distributor, there was this lady. Her name was Casey Barber, and she came out with this wine. It was called Rose Gold Rosé, and it became huge in all of the Tom Thumbs and on-premise. It just became one of the biggest rosés in kind of the DFW area very quickly because she got into a big chain, Tom Thumb. And I asked her, I was out with her one day. I'm like, hey, so how did you end up getting into Tom Thumb, like on your own or whatever? Because she's extremely, extremely small. She owns it by herself, no investors, nothing, just like me. And she's like, honestly, you want to know what I did? I'm like, yeah, what'd you do? And she's like, I just hopped in. So one of the main guy who makes the authorization, she figured out who he was. And he's like, I just hopped in his DMs and basically said, I'll do anything to get in the stores. And so I took that mentality of like, hey, I just got to jump directly into these guys' Instagram or jump in directly to their email or whatever I need to do, and almost beg kind of for the distribution. I don't think there's many people that are go-getters nowadays like that. And so I think that's what kind of distinguishes me and makes me stick out, is that I went out and just effing got it,
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, because it's not every day that someone's going to take all of their income from their 401k to to take a chance or take a risk to do something like what you're doing, or if you were starting some other kind of business. And I think that's awesome. And yeah, I mean, you don't really see that too much nowadays. I mean,
I think they just felt sorry for me. And they're like, oh, we got to help this guy out somehow. He's about to lose it all. Let's see if we can do something for this guy.
Well, I mean, it worked to your benefit if they felt sorry for you, which I don't think they did, because it's a business. Like, so, for instance, we're talking about Specs, and for those of you that don't know, which I didn't even know about it until I moved to Texas, Specs is like a big chain, a big liquor store, and it's like a massive mega warehouse. And I remember the first time I walked into like a Specs or a Total Wine,
Yeah,
and I was kind of like overwhelmed. I'm like, holy crap.
yeah, huge. They get a lot of allocations. To put it in perspective, there are about 209, I think, give or take, plus or minus, Total Wine in the entire country, I believe. Somewhere around 200 to 300. There are around 210 Specs locations in all of Texas by itself, Texas alone. So to put it in perspective, it's an enormous chain store in the state of Texas. It's like getting into a Walmart or Kroger for a food item. So it's pretty big.
Yeah, for sure. And I didn't realize this until recently. I was talking to a buddy of mine just about whiskey. Surprise, surprise. And he was like, yeah, back in whatever state he was from, he was like, yeah, so you can go into some grocery store or like a 7-Eleven, and they'll have liquor in the store, and I'm like, wait, really? I
Yeah.
didn't even know that. So
Yeah.
it's dependent upon the laws with each state, and I was like, I never really thought about that before. So, but because it's like I'll have a buddy like I got friends all over the state that are like, searching for whiskey and stuff, and they're like, yeah, I'm at Winn-Dixie or Walmart or
Yeah.
whatever store, and they're like, yeah, I found this, and I'm like, you found that at a grocery store?
Yeah.
And I'm like busting my butt to go try to find like these like I guess rare bottles,
Yeah.
and I'm like, and this guy's over here at a grocery store finding it for like MSRP, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So,
Yeah.
which brings me to another point, the secondary market. Oh my God, I was so a store that I was in the other day. I never seen so many good bottles in one spot, but like the prices on them were just insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
I tell you where to go get a bottle of, Weller Full Proof or, the single barrel Weller or something like that, but you're going to pay $800 for it. So
I saw a Weller single barrel yesterday. I never seen one in the store before, and that's exactly how much it was. Was $800. I'm like, no, that's a no for me, dog.
I don't understand it, man. I do not understand it. They're never going to sell. I mean, they may sell that bottle, maybe. I mean, 3 years from now when it's not, going to be worth waiting on it for that long, but I don't know. So the secondary market is insane. Hopefully someday I'll have a brand that comes out that's on, everybody will be flocking to it for the secondary market. I got some good stuff coming up, man. It's exciting what I got coming up. So
can you talk about it?
I can a little bit. There's some things I kind of have to hold off because it's not set in stone. And there's other people involved now. So it's not going to be me by myself anymore, which is a good thing. I finally have some help. But Mossy Horn is probably about to be all over Texas. Right now it's primarily in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but it is about to probably spread deep into Texas all over. And we may even go into a different state pretty soon. And might be doing some different juice for my single barrel barrel proof stuff, uncut, unfiltered. So that one is going to be pretty amazing. It's going to be a beautiful bottle. I'm working on doing something with, something like what Blanton's does with their cap and stuff like that. I'm going to go all out on the juice, the label, the bottle. It's going to be all around beautiful, man. So that's going to be my uncut, unfiltered coming out, and it's going to be, hopefully, I'm hoping, wanted in the market big time. I'm going to get with a couple of the whiskey clubs in Texas and kind of taste test them on it and see what their thoughts are. But I'm already going to let you know it's going to be some really nice juice, very, very, very nice juice from a different kind of distillery. So than where I'm getting from. But that's kind of all I can say right there. But I am coming out with another flavored whiskey for the kind of traditional. And I swear, every time I have a tasting, I have these people in the liquor stores that are like, yeah, I drink whiskey straight. I'm like, okay, what do you drink? Oh, Crown Apple. I'm like, okay, let me give you a little Sprite with this or something like that. Like, this is a little bit different than your typical TX or Crown or Jack or whatever you like drinking that's mainstream. This is straight out of the barrel. I don't put anything else in it. It's not like I'm a big distillery. This is from the ground up here. So this is like real authentic whiskey that you're going to be tasting. The barrel, everything, that smoky, that oakiness, black licorice, all of that. But I'm coming out with a pecan whiskey. And probably, so I'm still waiting on federal regulation for the label because that's what kind of stops me from moving forward so fast. But that's about to go through, and I'm looking at about 2 months before I actually get it on the market. And it's going to be a very nice sipping whiskey for people who like the flavored drinks, the honey whiskeys of your world. But it's going to be different for pecan flavor, so it's going to be very nice. If you ever been to Buc-ee's?
Oh yeah, dude, that place blew my mind.
Let's talk about that for a second. So, have you ever had the sugar pecans from Buc-ee's? So that's what my whiskey is going to mimic. is when you drink the whiskey, it's going to remind you of those sugar pecan. Not quite as sweet or sugary, because I don't want it to be overwhelmingly full of sugar, which it's not. It actually has a lot less than most other flavored whiskeys. So it's going to have that whiskey taste with hints of pecan undertones of that pecan maple flavor. It's going to be real nice, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Because I think I tried something similar, maybe not as accurate as like what you're describing, but what's the name of the company? It was a store pick from Lucky Liquor. Standard Proof, I think is the name of it.
Yeah.
It's a Tennessee whiskey. I don't think it's Dickel, but it was some sort of pecan infused store pick, and I was like, you know what? I hadn't really branched out to like a lot of different flavored whiskeys and stuff like that. And I tried it, and like it wasn't overwhelmingly sweet or anything like that, and I thought it was great. So I'm really looking forward to.
That's my goal, right? I don't, you want to hit that sweet market, right? The people who like drinking the sweet stuff, but you don't want to you don't want to ruin it. You don't want to over put some sugar in it and just kind of turn the actual whiskey drinkers off who do enjoy it. Because a lot of the whiskey clubs, a lot of those guys still enjoy some of the liqueurs or some of the flavored whiskeys and things like that, as long as it's not over powerfully sweet,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And and one thing I'm kind of learning as I'm progressing with my knowledge with whiskey and stuff is like, just because I like X, Y, and Z doesn't mean that the next person's going to like X, Y, and Z, and vice versa. Someone can think it tastes like, whatever, something amazing, and I'm just like, well, that kind of tastes like crap. But like, because I've also had bottles that I've purchased that I thought tastes like straight raccoon butthole. But I come back to it like a week or two later, and I'm like, actually, this is really not that bad. So it's very interesting how all that works. And I think
100%. Sometimes you got to taste something a couple times. So, like, I tasted a Stag Junior one time, and I was just like, whoa, like it was just kind of not for me for a second. It was just so high proof. It was like 120. And it was just, I wasn't expecting that much of, I don't know. I guess I just pronounced, but as I started to sip it a couple more times, I was really just like, wow, it retains a lot of the flavor. This is actually really a extremely nice bourbon. Like you're kind of amazed by it. But by first sip, it was really kind of like, just kind of blew me like in a way where I wasn't expecting. So yeah, you got to definitely sip it a couple times to really, really enjoy it, really kind of understand what it's supposed to be tasting like, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's kind of one thing I tell people that are newer to, the world is like, you don't want to start off with like a cask strength or a barrel proof, if you will. If you're going to start out drinking whiskey, like you want to kind of start out with like, something a little bit lower proof. That way you don't initially think like, oh, you're drinking like kerosene. Like, why do you like this? But it's kind of like a acquired taste to be able to understand like what you're actually tasting, what you're smelling and stuff like that. And again, I've already said it like a million times. Like I'm still learning, and I think it's awesome. So
me too. Yeah.
Yep.
It's something, and it's something that you just don't. So if you ever heard of, I think I talked to you about this before, WSET, WSET.
I think so, yes.
Wine Spirits Education Trust, okay? Yep. It's a lot of what a lot of sommeliers do to get certified, a lot of just people who are big connoisseurs in the industry. They take these tests, and they're like classes, essentially. They're like probably harder than some college level classes. But these they just teach you so much. And I'm WSET 2 certified, and I can't tell you the jump between 2 and 3 is huge. There's so much that I don't know. There's absolutely so much that you can keep learning about the industry. And then things are innovative. You start off years ago just being copper pot distilled, right? And then they turn to the stills, and then now they come out with this stuff, which I'm not necessarily 4 because I like the traditional way. But have you heard of accelerated aged bourbon? Or
Can't say I have. No.
so it's like, in a lot, you got to kind of be careful too because a lot of people use it. They'll take staves and they'll put all the whiskey in a still. They'll actually age it in the barrel for 6 months or something like that, and then they'll put the staves into a still. They'll dump it all into a giant still, and then they'll put staves in it, and then they'll like turn on an ultrasound in the still for days, and the whiskey will pass through the staves through the ultrasound, and it basically it speeds up the processing of aging the whiskey with because if it's when a barrel is just sitting on its own for years, the whiskey breathes into the barrel and breathes out, and that's how it gets a lot of that oakiness from the barrel that it's in. And so they accelerate it by putting ultrasound into these stills and shooting the whiskey through the staves. So it's crazy. I mean, just the technology. So things change. We're always learning new stuff. To come back to this part, I don't mean to keep going, off on tangents, but
no, that's why we're here, man. We're just shooting the shit, just enjoying life. But that sounds like, and I don't know much about the whole whiskey world and how everything's aged and blah blah blah, but like that just sounds like they're just trying to rush the product.
Yes,
I feel like you're not getting.
It does not taste the same. I'll say that. Does not.
So it's like they're just trying to get a quick buck, and they don't really care about the process or the
100%.
Yeah, I don't like that. So
no. Keep it traditional. Put it in the barrels and just wait. That's the hardest thing I think about aging barrels, is waiting for them to get done. But after year 3 or 4, when you got enough sitting there, and then you've buried barrels every single year after that, and you get to open them up after the 3rd or 4th year, you're kind of content. You're like, okay, like sure, like I'm good now. But waiting 3 or 4 years is a hard process. It takes a lot of money to do that. It's tedious.
Yeah, for sure. So hands down, outside of Mossy Horn, hands down, best pour you've ever had in your life.
Honestly, people are gonna I ran into a guy the other day. He was like, and I was like, hey, you want to try a little bit? He's like, no. How old is it? I'm like, it's average of 4 years old. No, you want to know what I drink? And he pointed out some Elijah Craig 12-year-old barrel proof. I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, try competing with that. I'm like, yeah, I'm not trying to. Like, I'm not those guys. You can try some of mine or not. I don't care either way. But if you're gonna just try to sip that all day long, like I've had better pours than that. Okay, so I had some Old Granddad, and I was just like, wow, it was very, very good. I've had Pappy, I've had Eagle Rare, I've had Blanton's. But do you want to know? Okay, so do you want best pour period, or do you want best pour by like dollars, right? So like how much the bottle might be worth.
Well, so that's probably going to be a 2-part question, because you could have the best pour of your life, and it could be whatever, $20 or whatever. But then so I guess it's kind of a 2-part question.
Outside of Mossy Horn, right? I'm trying to look at my little liquor setup I have over here, man.
That's a tough one. While you think about it, I'll tell you what mine is. So everyone is going flipping crazy over Buffalo Trace and what have you. It's crazy. Like, I'll see Tilted Bottle. I don't know the guy's actual name, but do you know who I'm referring to?
No, I don't.
So it's so the specs off of North Central Expressway here in Dallas. For whatever reason, they get some good bottles in there, and they get them consistently, which to me blows my mind. But he'll post a whole bunch of stuff like, hey, we got X, Y, and Z coming in, no holds, whatever, X amount of bottles, first come, first serve, whatever.
Right.
So I haven't been there in a while, but I still follow him. I think it's cool to kind of see, like, how he's promoting specs and whatever. And it's kind of funny. He'll kind of, it's kind of a joke in the whiskey world. It's like, you got Blanton's in the back,
Right.
so he'll put in his stories like something about whatever bottle, and he's like, no, this is not code for we have any Buffalo Trace products. I will not post about any of this stuff, because I mean, people literally go crazy. And
Yeah.
but hands down, best pour I've ever had. I don't know what year it was, but I was at this steakhouse with my girl. I think it was for like Valentine's Day this year. I had George T. Stagg, and I thought it was, I mean, it was so good.
Yeah. I've only had Stagg Junior. I have never had George T. Stagg, so that's one that I think I would be extremely excited to try. Maybe Pappy. I think Pappy was just super smooth, easy to drink. That or the Old Granddad that I had, that was, because Old Granddad is, I don't think it's super like sought after, but it was just so smooth, and it was, it was barrel strength, and I was blown away with how easy that thing was. But probably, honestly, I even think I think probably, to answer the question, and the twofold question with best pour and per dollar, both, it's the same whiskey. And I don't think anything that I've ever had could really beat it. It was Russell's 10-year-old bourbon.
Okay.
Have you ever had it?
I don't think I have. Is that the one that comes in like the silver box or some like interesting looking?
Oh, no, man. You can get this bottle anywhere. It's only about $40 maybe, depending on where you get it.
Is that the white label?
It's white with red on it.
Okay.
Man, I wish I had an older bottle.
No, I know what you're talking about. I just got one of their single barrels the other day.
The Russell's, okay, the Russell's single barrel is good, but the Russell's, just regular Russell's 10-year-old bourbon is, man, you get it for like $35 or $36, and you're just like, there's no way in hell this thing costs $30-something. It's almost, I think it's somewhere at 46 or 47% alcohol. You're just like, whoa, like, it is amazing how beautiful this bottle was made. And it's super inexpensive. You can't get 10 years old nowadays like that. I mean, it's better than Eagle Rare. And it's just, I don't know. It was amazing for me. But I need to try the George T. Stagg now.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, man, that, and, people, all the connoisseurs, or, whatever you want to call these people that are very savants, if you will, they know about the years and stuff like that. Like I said, I don't know what year I had, but all I know is that I tried it, and I was like, I feel bad drinking the rest of this because it's so good. And dude, like, I've had Stagg Junior as well. Again, I don't know what year it was, but super good. I'm just like, oh my god.
Where were you at again? Where was this at?
Where did I have the bottle?
Yeah,
I don't think I did. I didn't say, but I was, so George T. Stagg I had at Albernays, a steakhouse here in Dallas, Texas. My girlfriend and I were there for Valentine's Day, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to splurge a little bit. We're going to enjoy the day. She got her wine. I don't remember exactly what she got, but whatever she had, according to her, was amazing. I don't have a very well-versed palate for wine. But,
I do. That is my forte, man.
Yeah?
Might know it better than whiskey for sure.
Okay. Well, I think you and my girlfriend might have a lot of good conversations because she loves wine. So
we need to swap those podcasts here.
I'll have her come on real quick.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. That would be funny. No, that's what my world was before I went to whiskey. It was with the distributor, 7 years with wine. I mean, that's essentially what the WSET test is. I mean, I love it. I love learning about it, but I can't drink a lot now because I have asthma, and the sulfites in the wine, it stirs up a lot of my asthmatic exacerbations. So
I did not know that you were in the world of wine. If you told me, I didn't remember, because I know a couple weeks back we had talked on the phone for like an hour or two, and
yeah.
I don't really remember if you said that or not. But that's very good to know. So
yes, yeah.
But yeah, so like,
if you ever have any questions, man, I got you.
Oh, I'll hit you up. You know I will. So I'm not
sure.
I'm not bashful, but yeah. So whenever you talk about sulfites, this is something I'm still learning as well. Is like, so I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it's something that you put on the top or into the hole of the bottle, and you pour it. It's supposed to take the sulfites out. Put that in quotes. You know what I'm referring to?
No, there's some things that they started putting in the corks now where like it doesn't oxidize the wine, which that's how wine goes bad, is when you pop the cork, oxygen will get in it, it'll oxidize and it'll just taste completely different. There's something you can just poke the cork with in, pour the wine, and then it'll seal it off basically, and it doesn't oxidize it. I don't know anything about taking the sulfites out though, which would be amazing.
I know exactly what you're talking about, because I was at this country club here in Dallas. This was like, I want to say it was actually before I moved here. I was with my girl, and her mom was there, and she was they were looking at getting some bottle of wine or whatever, and they put what you were referring to into the cork, and I was like, what is that thing, and how are you doing that? So I know exactly what you're talking about. It was pretty cool.
Oh yeah. It's like I said, the technology nowadays, it's crazy. You just had a bag full of wine, and when it was done, you had to get it done that day. You know what I mean? It's like you had to share it with people, no matter how good it was.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I don't like. I have a lot of bottles of whiskey, and I think I don't have an accurate number. I think it's like maybe like 120 bottles, so quite a bit.
That still have whiskey in them.
Yes, so I know, but see, the thing is with like, I like to stop and smell the roses, if you will.
Yeah.
So, but no, like, a lot of my buddies that really enjoy whiskey, I don't really have the opportunity to be able to, hang out with them outside of, either work or, they're probably in a different state because they live there. So, if we ever have friends that are coming over, like, I want to be able to have them kind of enjoy what I'm drinking, and I'll kind of expose them to whatever it is that I have or I'm kind of into for that week or month or whatever, or my day-to-day drinker. But like, it's hard for me to give, like, we'll say, like, for instance, this bottle over here, right here, that's probably my most expensive bottle. And you probably
E.H. Taylor.
No, well, so I got two H Taylors right next to it, but so this is a Kentucky Owl. It's
Kentucky Owl,
yes. So it's a rye. This specific one is a rye whiskey. It's a 10-year, and it's the last rye batch. So the distiller, well, I don't know the guy's name or whoever it was. It was like their last batch that they were doing for that distillery, because I guess they were either retiring or whatever. So
dude, that's huge. That's a bottle to save, right?
Exactly. But like, I'm not the kind of guy to be like, I'm gonna buy this bottle, but I'm never gonna open it. Like, I want to buy stuff to enjoy it, and then enjoy it with other people as well. But my point is like, I don't want to share that kind of bottle with someone that can't appreciate what's in that bottle. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not trying to pretend like I'm some like guy that like only buys rare bottles, because that's not the case. But
so that's amazing of you that you're humble about it. Like I said, I met the guy the other day, and he's like, "Oh, want to know what I drink? This E.H. Taylor 12-year-old. I could get it shipped to my house for $100." I'm like, "Okay, that's fine. You can buy mine for $30. I don't care what you do. Mine's 4 years old. That's 12 years old. There's a third of the price. There you go. You're getting what you pay for. That's fine." But don't bash somebody, or don't act like you're high above everybody because you can drink that. Anybody can drink that stuff. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. But I think it's amazing how humble you are about it, and that's why I love talking to you, Shawn. You're amazing, dude. I love being here at just chopping it up. But one of my best friends, who actually is the one that I would not be here making my own bottle, making my own brand without him. He told me he was the one that let me taste his Pappy, we were just at his house. I wasn't into whiskey as much as, I am now, but he was just like, here's some Pappy, try it out. Here's my, this Stag Junior, try it. Here, let's taste test at the same night. He's like, let's taste test Eagle Rare and some other measly $20 bottle he had that I was like shocked on how similar these things were. But he told me, and I won't forget this, whiskey's meant to be drank. Whiskey's meant to be drank, right? Well, we don't make whiskey to not drink it. We make it to enjoy it. Now, he also told me the same thing you're telling me, that he wants to pop these bottles and share these bottles with people who appreciate it, appreciate the art, appreciate how things are made, appreciate the taste, the concept of it all. I mean, I'm following you 100%, and I admire that about you, that you're not going to pop that bottle open for someone who's not going to appreciate it. But at the same time, I don't know if your woman, if your lady drinks, but if she does or drinks whiskey a whole lot, that might not be, my lady, she loves whiskey and she enjoys it. She drinks Mossy Horn neat all the time. She drinks a lot of these things neat. And so that's something that I would drink with her. I finished my Blantons with her, you know what I mean? So I get it 100%. I admire that as well. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So are you saving the Kentucky Owl for an occasion?
No, I can't say that I'm saving it for any specific occasion. It's just
when you feel it.
When the time is right. My next door neighbor, he's him and his wife are super into rye whiskey. So he was I think the second person that I shared it with, because I've only shared it with two people, and I've drank it by myself, and I was just like, I would say this is probably hands down this is the second best rye whiskey I've ever had. And I was like, wow. I mean, that's pretty good. So
what's the mash bill on it?
Fuck, I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to pull this off of there.
I was just curious.
I don't really know, man. Let me see.
It might not say. Sometimes it'll say 95% rye or 75% rye.
Yeah, no, it doesn't say anything on this this little tube that it's in. Let me pop this open real quick, see if it says anything. I don't think it does.
I didn't mean to.
No, I don't care.
Amazing bottle, looks nice. I know where you can get. Maybe not that one. Some good Kentucky Owl though.
I don't think I've ever had any other Kentucky Owl besides this. Oh, I take that back. I have another Kentucky Owl back here. I think this is a bust, but it's the. I'm not shitting on the brand really. It's just I don't think I really enjoyed it. But it's the the St. Patrick's Day.
I never tried it.
You know which one I'm talking about?
No, I haven't even seen it.
So it's the St. Patrick's Day.
Crazy.
Limited edition, limited release. So it's a collaboration with some people from I don't even know, some collaboration with some people, and it's I think it's Finnish and Irish whiskey.
Okay.
Casks or whatever. But yeah, it's not bad. But for the price, I was like, well, this is one of the few bottles that I don't necessarily regret, but I'm like, well, I probably shouldn't have paid as much as I did. Right. But yeah, this I don't see a mash bill for the.
No, that's fine.
This
I was just curious.
Yeah. No, I don't know, but it's a good one.
The best ones don't tell their mash bills.
Say what?
The best ones don't reveal their mash bills.
I see what you did there, because you don't tell us what your mash bill is.
I did though. I think I did at the beginning.
Well, I'm talking about on the bottle.
Oh, you're right. I don't. That is though, the reason for that is that because I source the whiskey, I can't guarantee that it's going to be the same every time.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't want to put out a label and have to use the label when I'm not using the actual whiskey in there.
Yeah, no, I'm just busting your balls. So
I know.
But yeah, no.
But at some point, I don't know if I would ever put the mash bill, but at some point I will be burying my own barrels and having a very for sure kind of mash bill all the time on certain things that I do on certain wines.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm excited, man.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm excited to see what else you got coming out. I know you had the infused whiskey, pecan infused whiskey. Looking forward to that and whatever else you got coming out. So appreciate you coming on, bud. Really looking forward to seeing what else you got coming in the future.
Yeah, man.
Really love the journey and how you've gotten to where you've gone, or how you came to where you've come from.
Right.
And it's interesting because I've never met you in person. We got to meet up for a drink at some point.
Dude, absolutely, 100%. Actually, we are going to be pretty soon, so I got you. Yeah, man, perfect. I'm excited. And when this barrel proof comes out, I promise you'll be one of the first to get a bottle. So,
yeah, looking forward to it.
Super excited. But thank you again for having me, man. I look forward to talking to you soon. Anytime, man. Just hit me up. You got my number. So,
yeah, for sure. Until next time, everybody. Peace.